Hello? Is this thing on? Oh, it's you! Hello. I have done a little thing called Art Fight this year. You may have heard of it. She's been around the block, circulating, doing her thing. In short, Art Fight is an art gifting game. You are put into different teams. Those teams are rewarded points based on how many attacks or gifts of art that they are able to produce for an opposing member of the team. You can also attack people within your team for less points. There are more rules involved in it, and I could go deep into the minutiae of the breakdown of the point system, the types of attacks that are allowed on Art Fight, etc., etc. But I'm not here to do all of that. I am here to share my experience with Art Fight as a first-time art fighter. Generally share my experience and share my art with you guys and what I was able to create because oh boy. I was, in the plainest terms, gripped. I was gripped by the spirit of Art Fight, by the balls, and I kind of went a little ham, maybe a little too crazy, especially in the beginning. I was doing the most, kind of led to my burnout towards the end of the month, which is a little bit disappointing, but we'll get into all of that later on in the video. I do want to preface by saying that this is my experience with Art Fight. Everyone else's experiences are going to be different. I am not saying I'm the voice of the general public. Okay, you can form your own opinions. Your experience may have been better than mine. Yours may have been worse. Everything is subjective, and at the end of the day, we're all individuals with our own unique, colorful experiences. And I do not want to make it seem like I'm speaking up against anyone or that I'm speaking for anyone in particular. This is my experience, okay? So, in short, let's chill out, okay? Can we just chill? That's really all I want. The event itself is not serious at all. Like, there is a competitive aspect to it. It's not a be-all, end-all situation, okay? The world does not revolve around this event. If you want to pick a fight or just say, hey, my experience was not like yours, you just want to be a naysayer, this space is not for you. Because I do encourage conversation, and I actually am open to it. I think it's very fruitful to have conversations in the comments talking about the experiences within Art Fight, but not if you're just going to say that everything I did or everything that I experienced was wrong. Because what is the point of that? You know? There's no point. There is no point. That's just what it is. Plain as day. With all that being said, let's finally get into the art. Side note, I kind of created this YouTube channel with the idea that I would create art and share it with you guys. You'll definitely see my face around a lot. There's also a part of me that's like, I don't really want to be on camera all of the time. And so that's why I want to create a Sona. But the thing is, I'm still working on that. I want to get this video out as soon as possible because I think it's fun. And honestly, if I just keep pushing it off, it's just never going to happen. And I don't want that to be the case. In short, I want to make a Sona. I'll probably make a video about it, and that Sona will be there in place of me, so you don't see this mug all the time. In this video, I don't want you to be staring at my face the whole time. So I made a compromise. The first attack I did this year was for Shark Fins and her character Saoirse. One thing about me, I love art history and fashion and the intersection of both. And boy, I saw this design inspired by the 70s and automatically fell in love. If you've seen my art, I tend to lean into the fantastical and things with a little bit of a darker tone, which is super funny because I think if you've talked to me for more than 5 seconds, you'll quickly realize I'm just not like that personality-wise. But you know, those things don't necessarily have to intersect. All that said, I did challenge myself with this Art Fight to not only choose characters who inspire me, but to choose characters more grounded in reality as opposed to what I normally do. So anything modern or even sci-fi to some extent. Saoirse attracted me not only because of her loud and expressive fashion, but also her story about being in political science, which was almost a subversion of her outward appearance. This is in the sense that tonally it immediately gets the gear shifted in my head, and I'm so intrigued because I'm like, whoa, there's layers to this, right? I can tell she's lived a life and that she is a go-getter. She's willing to stand up for not only herself and her fellow citizens, but also who uses her wits and smarts in conjunction with her interest in music and art. And that's really inspirational and real to me, and again ties back into my interest in art as a medium to push expression. Saoirse truly is a well-rounded character, and I knew I wanted to do her justice right away. So for this portrait, I decided to focus on her serious but deeply confident attitude. I hope I was able to get that across, albeit I know I could have done a little bit better with her expression. I did also have a little Easter egg to her theme song, Queen of Hearts by Olivia Newton. Very good theme song, by the way. Just as a fun and edgy little touch, which also hints to her musical nature. And of course, her career as a record shop owner. I love when characters contain multitudes and you can tell that she's lived a life before you've ever even met them. Saoirse is someone who is almost too cool for me, and I would be so shy meeting her, but once I sit down for just a second, I would love to have a conversation about her life. I know she's got stories to tell. And on the technical side, I also love drawing patterns, so her floral shawl was just really fun for me to recreate. Next character was Neffy from Wolfcry 91196. She doesn't have much of a description compared to Saoirse, which is totally fine, but presented a unique challenge for me, as I had to kind of pull inspiration for her from other places. She's described as a harpy who loves singing but is unable to fly. In all the art Wolfcry has of her, she is seen with either an aloof or happy attitude, and so I get the sense that she may not be so downtrodden or beaten down by the idea she can't fly, and that despite it all, her music comes first. It's really funny. I didn't mean to do two musical-based characters back to back, but here we are anyways. Harpies in mythology tend to be seen as creatures who take away from heroes in stories, either stealing their food or in general being pests and monstrous to the main characters, just taking away from them, antagonistic. But they're also generally described as a personification of the storm and the wind. So I think it's really fascinating to have a character who almost can't do the things she's known for in mythology, at least. I don't know if it's exactly the same in the story that Wolfcry has established for her, but you get what I'm saying in terms of like the already established lore behind the harpies. I imagine her voice and musical presentation is a good stress reliever for her, but like the storm winds, it's tumultuous and layered and almost fractured. On the outset, it seems happy, but underneath is a storm, so to speak, for lack of a better word. So in this portrait, I wanted to, of course, show off the part of her that enjoys the music, but underneath there is almost this wistful lingering towards the horizon, like a sailor would long for more. I just thought that was a fun interpretation, and I definitely enjoyed this one, not only because the color palette is fun, but I'm just a nerd for, again, history and mythology and art, and so I can get a little carried away with it. But yeah, this was a fun one. Next was Nyx from Daro299. Helmets with ears. That's the main interest. What can I say? I'm a simple guy, and that's one of the design tropes that immediately hooks me. But in all seriousness, this was actually a revenge. Daro drew my pony Sona Silva, which was so cute, by the way. And I will also put up all the art I received at the very end in a little montage for funsies. But back to Nyx. He just looks so cool. He has a cyberpunk aesthetic with an outfit very heavily based on a futuristic cyclist. He's also a vigilante with shadow-wielding powers. And let me say this. Shadow-wielding, dark-wielding, or whatever you want to call it, another weakness of mine. I think it's not only just the right touch of edgy for me, but it's just so open-ended in a very good way. Shadows are everywhere, and to wield the darkness in some form is, in a way, overcoming it. Oftentimes in stories, shadows and darkness are a force of evil, but it doesn't necessarily have to be so I like that little twist to it. And, you know, of course, without light, there would be no darkness, and vice versa. They balance each other out in a very, I guess, natural way is the best way to say it. There is no judgment or morality attached to it. They just exist in the world. So I think it's kind of sick, to be quite honest, to have a disabled heroic character use a force that is typically associated with evil and injustice. That entanglement of worlds is just so juicy, scratches the brain just right. Unfortunately, in this piece, it is just a half-up portrait, so I didn't get to show off his prosthesis, which is the only thing I regret about this composition. Otherwise, I just had a fun time playing around with the biker aesthetic and capturing his kind eyes that the artist Darrow emphasizes in their art of him, at least in all the ones that I got to see. So yeah, that was a really good time. Up next, we have Silith from Baby Muzan. Excuse me if I am mispronouncing this name, by the way. It is very gorgeous, which is one of the things that attracted me to her. But I could be mispronouncing it, and I'm so sorry if I am. She is a blood hunter half-orc, and let me just pause right there. Because are you joking? This character was practically calling my name. My love for half-orcs is just through the roof, and I am 100% biased here when I say that. And I am not ashamed to admit it. And even though I have yet to play around with blood hunters in D&D, I do have experience with blood mages in a little franchise called Dragon Age, and they have always fascinated me. Any kind of like blood, like related stuff, which sounds kind of gross when I say it out loud, but like bloodbending in Avatar, that was also really interesting and fascinating. Such a dilemma, like a moral, ethical dilemma that was fascinating to me. It toes the line between dark arts and pragmatic use of the body, whether it's the wielder's or someone else's. It's certainly, like I said, a moral dilemma that sends shivers down my spine and gets me amped up just reading about it. Like I want that meat to kind of bite into. Give me more morally ambiguous characters. I do not care. They are so special to me and probably my favorite characters of all time. The way Mari draws her, she stands tall, has a glint of mischief in her eyes, and is almost always covered in blood. Makes sense. So I immediately knew what the assignment was. I wanted Silith to be looking directly into the camera, almost beckoning the viewer to take a closer look. Her hair is disheveled, but also perfectly framing her face, which leads the viewer's eyes from her own eyes, which are coy and eager, to the blood that is dripping down her face, giving you the sense that she is dangerous and not one to be messed with. And oh my gosh, I know I am saying this for every single one, but this one was so fun. Probably the most fun I had so far out of all the attacks I've done. It helps that Silith has just a great design and came easily for me to draw. So all those things factored into this piece that I did. Up next, we have Aaron Knowles from Keihaku. Keihaku, I believe is the name. Just like Saoirse and Nyx, I was drawn to the aesthetic immediately for this one. Decora and hyperpop styles genuinely make me so envious. Everyone who rocks it exudes so much confidence, but also still manages to look so put together despite so much being kind of thrown at you at once. It can be overwhelming, but to me, it's just very pleasing to the eye. It's alluring, it's charming, and most of all, it's vibrant. The colors pop in your face, and so that was kind of my main focus on this one, ensuring that her face and accessories were kind of the focal point. He also has cute animal ears on top, so I made sure to include those somehow in the composition. I actually looked to magazines for inspiration, actually, speaking about the composition. I looked through catalogs of old-fashioned magazines that centered Harajuku fashion, back when magazines were a thing, but they are there in the archives if you look them up online. A lot of them stylistically actually pull into the face or the body very closely, which makes a lot of sense because they want people to see all the little details in the accessories, but also it emphasizes this sort of overwhelming power and aforementioned confidence of the wearer, almost like they are saying, here I am, and I'm not afraid to show it. Aaron strikes me as the kind of person who would not care in the slightest what others think of her, which is why I was so excited when I was able to draw him really in your face, quite literally, for this one. The next one is Lachesis from L Crafts. This one piece is the one that took me the longest, so buckle up, folks. You thought I was yapping before, you're in for it now. I am pulling this description directly from her bio because I think it is just so beautifully written, and any summary I make would pale in comparison. You always hear people mentioning the Fates, but the Fates are not exactly the Fates. Not anymore. Lachesis is the last one of the 3 sisters left on this forsaken world, unbeknownst to the majority of the population in the city. I really suggest you check out her character profile actually, because it is so fully realized and charged with an exciting depth that I am personally in awe of. And with that said, I was so excited to jump into this one. I know I've said that about all the preceding work, but it's just true with every single one, okay? I was just having a grand old time. And this one, the vision came to me right away. The story of sisters lost to time and Greek iconography. My mind immediately goes to the Caryatid sisters. I think that's how you say it, Caryatid. To sum it up, there are these statues that held up the Erechtheion temple on the Acropolis in Athens. One of those statues got taken away and sent to the British Museum, and the others have remained in Greece. I won't get into the topic of legality and morality of it because I will get very heated, and that's not the point of this video. But I took that story and, sort of the heated feelings that a lot of people have about it, and tied that into Lachesis' story, who is this sister lost to time. The others are dead or gone, and as the last one, I wanted to explore this grief and her connections to her sisters. Elle mentions that Lachesis doesn't even publicly acknowledge that her sisters are not with her anymore, almost like they are stuck in time, hence leading me back to the statue idea. Her grief and denial has led her to this still image of her sisters in her mind. Everything is stuck, and yet she lives on. So this was a long-winded way of saying that the composition and piece came together naturally. I did challenge myself to play with the lighting and angle of the camera though. Instead of doing something straight on, which is what I normally do, I did do a little Dutch angle or canted angle, something that is slightly askew, because I'm also a film nerd. I guess I'm just a nerd about a lot of things, okay? And if you know, a Dutch angle signals to the viewer a slight unease and tension, which feels very fitting, not only for the piece, but for Lachesis. I imagine like she is feeling a lot of personal unease because of the doubt that plagues her mind, and that reality around her is even skewed and off-center. Overall, this one was such a cathartic piece, and I very clearly enjoyed her story. Also her design with the wings and pinstripe suit, 10 out of 10 for me. Up next is Bog from Several Snoots. Technically, I started another piece. I did eventually finish it, but I was going through something trying to finish that. We're gonna, I just want you to put a pin on that. Anyways, back to the piece at hand. A furbolg with a heart of gold whose main goal is to help friends along his path. Literally, that is the sweetest thing in the world. Are you kidding? He's a nomad and a druid, and he is on no set path, but he is just letting the forest guide him, so to speak. There is a sweetness, a lightness, and a brightness to him. That's a lot of S's. I hope I didn't lose you. That's to say, he wanders not necessarily just for the sake of it, but just knowing the journey is what matters and not the destination. That's always such a beautiful thing to remember, and he embodies that idea fully. Again, this isn't necessarily a naive character, so to speak. There is a sort of wisdom to him despite being, not necessarily book smart, which Danny points out. Super funny detail, by the way. I wanted to show off Bog in his element, which is literally in the sun and soaking it all in, smile on the face, and with his rock friend. This piece gives me the warm fuzzies, and I hope it does for you too. Unrelated, but Danny, love your videos of your Snoop babies. I keep watching them and I adore them, and I can definitely see the influence for Bog in those little Snoop babies, so thank you for that. Then we have Papa Longlegs from Starcade64. Okay, context. This is Cade and I's little brainchild. I was helping him with uploading more OCs and coming up with character sheets, and honest to God, I cannot tell you why my mind and his mind immediately went to Longlegs. But it did, and here we are. Cade, you are a very dear friend of mine, so naturally I had to draw our joint baby. This is our baby. All I'll say is this style is way different from what I normally do, clearly. And, just in case you didn't catch that, I hope I was able to capture our guy's charms and looks. Love you lots, Cade. Enjoy the B-movie propaganda. I just have so much love and adoration for you and for our little guy, so I'm not gonna spend this section just gushing about it. You already know it, so just enjoy our little dude. Next, we got Alma, or the courier from Submech. Up to this point, I was attacking people who have either commented on my Artfight profile or my TikTok videos because I was doing some promotion there. But Alma I found purely by using the random character selector on the Artfight website. I am so happy it landed on him. He is a fox person with a charming and smooth talking personality. And I'm saying this with utmost love and adoration. I know that's some bullshit front to avoid being emotional or telling the truth. And I get it, it's a good tactic. Fake it till you make it. He's also a mailman, which is fun. I don't see many characters with that occupation, and I like it. Of course, it's not all fun and games because he is an orphan with 2 younger siblings, and he is devoted to their well-being. I am a sucker for a good, older, wisecracking sibling. It's like number 1 in the recipe book that is my mind palace. I did want to capture his more serious tone with a portrait that is really up close and personal, almost similar to that Aaron Knowles one I did previously, showing off his signature black fur hands, iconic red hair, and standout sideburns. Again, said with love because I do like that little detail. My style is semi-realistic, if you couldn't tell, but I challenged myself to blend that with a more cartoonish style to match Rory's art of him. I wanted to make sure his characteristics and features were still recognizable, even if in a slightly different medium. And so that is what I did here. Up next, we got Kenai from Run River Red, also goes by Denzel Lawson. Another one I highly recommend you just go read the profile yourself. It's super well written, it's emotional, it's, again, so fully realized. And another trope I enjoy dearly, where it's a standoffish person with a dark secret. I'm starting to realize maybe I'm just easily entertained by a lot of things. I don't think that's a problem, but also maybe I shouldn't say that these are... Anyway, sorry, I'm getting too into it. I'm just thinking out loud. Back to the piece at hand. Kenai is not just a guy, he's also an avenid, a type of bird-like person with wings spanning from their neck. That is sickening. I don't really draw animals at all, so the challenge for this one was pretty simple. I wanted to draw the raven mask, quote unquote, but not as it's typically presented, just in a raven familiar. I also like how his piebaldism manifests on his skin in a typical way, but also there is a portion of his forehead that looks like a beak. that's just chef's kiss. Very neat character design. A little fantastical, but still subtle. I like that. I like that a lot, okay? He's a shoot first, think second kind of guy, hardened by the world around him, stoic and tough. He carries the world on his shoulders, which is why I wanted to show him staring head on to the camera, intense but visceral, with a contrasting animal that is larger than life but contained. Again, please read his character profile. I highly recommend it as it informs so much of this piece, including the symbolism I decided to include in it, as well as the position that Kenai is in. All those little things just really are influenced by the excellent writing that Run River Red did. Then we have Malin by Mintel. That pin, remember that pin I had asked you to hold on to earlier? Yeah, this is that piece I was alluding to that I had started, but I just could not finish. It actually is slightly informed by the Fates piece because I was inspired by another Greek statue that I had found in this contemplative sitting pose. No, it was not the Thinker, it was another piece, and I'm forgetting it right now. If I do find the reference that I used, I will put it up here, but oh boy. I was starting to feel a little burnout after that Fates one, which makes a lot of sense. It's the one I put a lot of time into. And so when I came to this one, it just ended up, unfortunately, being the one that just got the brunt of my burnout. I could not, for the life of me, get a sketch. I wanted to use it, essentially. Like, there was no sketch that I liked. Instead of being stuck in a loop, that's when I moved on to those other pieces that I had talked about. I think because I was barely sleeping, I know, highly don't recommend, I don't know why I was doing that, and the fact that I was drawing almost 2 pieces a day, yeah, it was taking a toll. But I did not want that to show in this piece at all. Malin is such a cool character, I wanted to make sure I gave him justice. Half dragon, half sheep, he is part of an unjust hybrid world. Human takeover has resulted in the oppression of hybrids of every degree. Many things plague their life, but it all leads to the point where he gets killed in a horribly gruesome way. He was able to be brought back, but just slightly wrong. Not quite himself fully. He even develops schizophrenia after being resurrected. This one is another banger backstory that everyone should read. Highly suggest you do so. It's immersive and wonderful and fantastical and just everything that I purely enjoy. Not only with the established world building, but with the character arcs and development Malin goes through, it's just fascinating. He's a deeply layered and complex warrior and creature of circumstance. If I could hug a character, it would be this one. And Mint commented on my profile about liking how I paint armor, which thank you, by the way. So when I saw Malin has an armor set, oh, I knew. I rubbed my greedy hands together, baby. Such a unique armor too. I hope I was able to give it the gravitas it deserves. I did take some artistic liberties with it, making it slightly more icy to kind of represent the dead side of him. Cold and unrelenting and unnerving. But God, again, I fell in love with them. Their story is tragic, but they show resilience, and they're part dragon and sheep. What more could you ask for? And last, but certainly not least, to close us out, we have John Smith by Maru Arts 10021, or Total Eclipsical. I did notice there was a username change, so I want to make sure I throw that in there. This is very different than the other drawings I have completed. As I mentioned previously, I was experiencing burnout at this point, but I still wanted to get one last art piece out there, even if it was just a silly doodle. So I went to TikTok and asked for a volunteer to let me draw their character in an MS Paint-esque style. So thank you, John Smith, with your lovely hyperfixation on boats and submarines, and of course, your silly ears. I think this was a beautiful end to Art Fight and a neat little bow that really highlights and represents what Art Fight is all about, which is to be an art gifting game. It doesn't matter what the art looks like or how it's done. It's about bringing people together and doing a nice thing for one another, and I just think that's awesome. So that is where I closed off with Art Fight. I spilled water on my shirt. This is unimportant to the video, but it does explain why I suddenly have a cardigan on. That was all of the art that I did for Art Fight 2026, and I'll also put a little compilation of all of them together, so that's kind of on the screen right now. You're seeing it. It's floating, it's in the air, it's out there in the ether. I also want to take a moment just to showcase all of the art that I had received, and believe me, I can't even believe that I received one, let alone the amount that I did receive. I'm just so honored that anyone even decided to take the time to do it. Like, I can't even explain. I would receive a notification. I would just literally be jumping up and down. This is no exaggeration. I was like beside myself with every single piece that I received. Taking the time out of your day to make someone else happy, and so the fact that people were seeing my OCs and were inspired enough, I don't know, I don't have the words for it. I'm just so grateful. Hard to really believe that that happened, even though, you know, that was the whole point of Art Fight, and I'm creating art for other people. It's just that the fact that it was reciprocated at all means a lot. I'm not expecting anything, and that's one thing about Art Fight. You shouldn't really be going in with the expectation that you're going to receive art, so I didn't. I just went in with the idea that I want to create for other people, make them happy, draw their OCs, you know, it's like a good thing. It's a net positive. The fact that I got any is just so amazing. So thank you, every single one of you who decided to do that. On that note, how did I feel about my first Art Fight? Overall, a really great time. If you go in with the expectation that you're just there to create art, and for me, my goal was really to test my endurance with art and being able to create multiple pieces within a short span of time, still being happy with each piece, because there's one thing to be creating art quickly, but for me to feel satisfied with every single piece that I created within this month has been amazing and awesome. That was a goal that I was able to meet. Another goal I was able to meet was the amount of pieces that I did. I set a goal for myself to do 10. I did pretty decent, I will say, at least for my first year. I'm not trying to overstretch myself, push myself beyond my limits too much to the point where I experienced burnouts. I did experience burnout, though. I should correct myself. It wasn't too bad, though. It was like the typical burnout that you receive as an artist. And if you're an artist, you'd be like, well, these aren't turning out the way that I want them to, so let's just put that aside. Back to Art Fight in general, I do think, despite the greater number of people that came into the event, I know that some people were experiencing some drama. We're not that positive, right? There were some things people were saying online. Art Fight is not really a safe and inclusive space, or I just feel like some people are not treating it the way that it's supposed to be. And I will say that those are the minority, at least in my experience this year. Again, my experience, I didn't see anyone kind of stepping over my boundaries or doing anything along those lines, which I am grateful for. All of the people that I interacted with were so sweet, so kind, and also very generous. No one was being rude, untoward. Again, this is my little worldview. Your worldview could be different, but that's what I experienced. And I think overall was a great time. Would love to do it again. I'm so glad I got a little taste of it, a little glimpse. It's given me motivation to be prepared for next year's Art Fights. I hope you guys will be there too, and then maybe I'll be making another video next year. And thank you if you've stuck around till the end of this video. I do really appreciate it. I appreciate everyone who supports me and is also supporting other artists along their journey. I hope you will be here for the ride, the crazy ride, whatever it is that I am taking you on, because even I don't really know myself. I'm just here along for the ride too. I'm at the helm, but I'm not steering. Anyways, enjoy and have a great rest of your day, evening, or night. Take care.